Greetings. I'm here on a very hot day in California, experimenting with my laptop camera. This is not the camera that I normally use, but I was very drawn to the fan, so I thought I would do this video and enjoy the cool air of the fan. We do not have air conditioning, and it's a very hot day here. Jude did a very interesting video the other day on something that's called 11 Signs That Your Soul Has Reincarnated. And I thought her responses were just wonderful, as always. She always has so much interesting things to add to any subject. I also saw a couple other responses, one done by Therese. It was, you amazed me too. You're very interesting stories to relate. I don't know how interesting my responses will be. And I'm not exactly sure how I feel about reincarnation either. I think I have a very strong belief that I have been around for a very long time. I believe that I will be around for a very long time to come. I don't know, though, that I believe in multiple lives. I seem to feel like I am one life. Perhaps just gone on many different paths, which seem to spiral around each other. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what I believe. But I was interested in the subject matter for sure, because I do have very strong feelings that I have been around a lot, and I have been in other time periods. I've never had any regression readings or anything like that, so about past lives, or I just haven't really felt the need to be honest. But anyway, I don't want to make this quick. I want to make this sort of quick. For me, and you know, if you've been watching my videos, that's a challenge for me. The author, I think, of the article that she was referring to, I think this article appeared on Facebook, and the author of the person who wrote the article maintains that as our soul matures, each time that we reincarnate, our soul, the energy actually that we know as our soul, matures, and as a result, a mature soul, someone who has had many lives, will have be more gifted in certain areas of life, more often known as spiritual experiences, such as, or paranormal experiences, such as having intuition or having psychic experiences. So anyway, the 11 questions, she lists them on her video. I maybe will try to do the 11 on here. I always say that and I forget to do it. Anyway, the first one is recurring dreams. Apparently, if you have had past lives, there might have been some experiences or traumas that have not been satisfied, or maybe you had some unfinished business which may be reflected in your dreams. Well, I'm a very vivid dreamer. I have talked about this before. I do dream journaling with my tarot cards. I do have a lot of repetitive dreams. I don't know that they're really related to a past life, but I'm not sure about that. As far as having recurring dreams of particular events, that's not really so much an issue with me. I do have recurring dreams that are repeat dreams, which I think I've mentioned before, which have more of a state to do with my emotional state or my emotional well-being, I believe, in present life than they do in past lives. But I have had place dreams where I revisit certain places that are very familiar to me that I have no idea where they are. I don't remember ever visiting them when I am awake. I only visit them in my dreams. I see a lot of detail. And just the other night, actually, I had a dream that I was trying to take some family members with me to that place, and we were following very complicated winding paths and very complicated series of steps having to get to this place. And they were questioning me, and I was trying to reassure them that this was really worthwhile if they would just follow me. So I thought that was maybe interesting. I've had those kind of place dreams frequently. Some of my places, though, are put together places of houses that I've been in, and I put them all together in one house, and then they're in a whole other place. But these are different than those. These are particular places that I do not recognize that I revisit. It also mentions about maybe seeing people. I don't see people in my dreams that I don't know. I see dead people a lot in my dreams. They're always around me in my dreams. Not being dead, just being there. But they really do not converse with me in any way. Or they're just there. But I'll just leave it at that. Places are something that recurs to me. Number 2 would be out-of-place memories. For example, this is something that they say that it's very common in children, where children remember things that they absolutely could not remember because they weren't even alive when the event took place. But they are able to describe it in very vivid detail. Well, I don't know about that, but I think I have mentioned to you that I knew at a very young age I was on the Titanic. That maybe sounds incredulous to some people. I also knew that I did not die on the Titanic, but I really had a lot of memory associated with the Titanic for some reason. And some people say, well, you probably got this from watching movies. Well, I have to tell you that I've really never been able to watch a Titanic movie. It's so uncomfortable for me to watch, with the exception of the latest one, the one that most of you are familiar with. I did watch that. It was not that comfortable for me, but I didn't really see that as a Titanic movie as the previous ones have been made. That was more of a love story to me, so it was really very Hollywood, and it didn't have the same kind of effect on me, other than I was uncomfortable. But other than that, I don't have really memories out of place in that way, although I have had the memory of thinking something happened and mentioning to a friend about this thing that happened, only to find that it had not ever really happened, and it happens in the future. It does happen. And that's a little odd, and we've laughed about that. I don't know. That's a little hard to explain. Strong intuition is number 3. Yes, I have a very strong intuition. I think most people do have intuition. I think that they just don't choose to recognize it, or they don't choose to follow it. I think some people have it stronger sense of intuition than others. For me, it very often manifests when I first wake in the morning. I wake up, my very first, and this is only after I've had a restful sleep. You know, I'm the kind of person who sleeps very often half awake, really, that I'm aware of things going on all the time, or I'm sleeping and thinking at the same time. But when I've had a restful sleep, a true restful sleep, I wake up, and sometimes the very first sensation that I have is an intuitive sensation, is what I believe it is. I feel it either in my stomach, like you would feel butterflies, you would feel nervous, so I wake up with anxiety, some kind of anxiety, like, oh, what is worrying, something's going on today, something's coming, something's coming. Or I feel a sense of dread. I think that's common to experience, but this is in my heart. I feel this deep pain in my heart the very first thing upon waking, and that's usually something like I'm going to be told your father died, your sister-in-law died. These kind of things have happened to me, and I have felt it. I knew it upon awakening. And the third way is I feel that I wake up from the top of my head first. A lightness in the top of my head. That's the only way to explain it. But that is a good day. That is a hello day. Hi day. We're going to get something fun today. I don't know. Again, that's three things that, 3 ways I experience intuition first thing in the morning. Other than that, I think it's just as commonly, knowing when the phone's going to ring, those kind of things. Deja vu, yes, I think again, deja vu is very interesting to me. It seems to come in bunches. Having a lot of deja vu experiences at one time and then not having any for another time. I'm not sure, again, if this has anything to do with past lives, because to me, it doesn't make sense that it would have anything to do with past lives, because why would an event happen over and over? I mean, a conversation, or why would that happen more than once? I'd have to have that explained to me. That's just a little crazy. Okay. Number 5, you're an empath. Yes, I am an empath. One of my previous videos was on this. This was another response to Jude, who found this questions. And by being an empath, I mean being able to absorb the energies or the emotions or sometimes even the pains of others around us. And in my case, I did reply, I describe myself as being an empath as a result of having just really super, super good ability to read other signs in people. Like you're reading body language, things that are so subtle that other people maybe do not see, and I see that. And that has caused me some difficulties. I think, these kind of things are sometimes very difficult to experience in any life. Precognition is number 6, which can be experienced through visions, physical sensations and feelings, as well as dreams. This is knowing about something that is going to happen beforehand. This is usually described as somebody sees a plane crash, and then a plane crash happens. Somebody sees, some people claim to have seen 9/11 before that took place. These are actual visions. These are psychic visions. I don't have visions, and I do not have psychic dreaming of actual events. But I do know things. I do know things. And often I see them in the way that I see them coming, but I don't see them. I don't see a picture of them. I don't see them. I don't have the movie of them running in my dream or in my mind before it happens. It's just a knowledge of the event before the event happens. I remember as a very young girl watching a movie. I watched a movie. I've always been trying to find the movie. It was very old. It had to have been in the 50s. It had to take place in the 50s. So I would have been very, very young. And there was some people that were able to see the future. I don't know. I've never been able to figure out what the movie is. But I remember my memory of this is my grandfather, and this is the reason I knew it had to be in the 50s. He died in 1960. Was a man who did not really speak to many people. He was a very quiet, simple, quiet man. Hard to work, hard at work. Didn't take time for small talk. That kind of a guy. He talked to adults, I'm sure, but he did not really talk to children. Children were, if you wanted to have a conversation, you would have it with my grandmother and not with my grandfather. He didn't mind us being around. He would take us for rides in the truck and take us for soda over at the filling station. But he did not really have conversations with us. So I really remember this conversation with him when he was horrified at the very idea of knowing something in the future. He warned me. And he warned me in such a way that I sometimes felt, particularly as I got a little bit older, that he was really trying to warn me of something that he thought maybe I would be able to do. And I don't know if that's really an accurate memory or not, but the more I age, the more I remember my grandfather's warning. So I tend to really not dwell on things that I maybe see or know that are coming. I try to heed his warning and just in the moment, and when something happens, react to it when it happens. Retrocognition is number 7, and retrocognition, I think everybody has a little different idea of what that is, and I was really not sure. So I did a little bit of research on the internet, and it seems to me it is actually seeing things that happened in the past that you were not there again. It's the opposite of the precognition, but I see it. I don't know if you ever have seen, there's a television show. My husband loves me to watch it late at night. He likes to fall asleep with this on. I think that's sort of funny. But it's called The Dead Files, and it's a woman who is a psychic who works with a retired detective, and they go visit homes of people that have had some really, bad experiences with maybe hauntings or, really unexplained things happening in the house, or unexplained feelings or atmosphere in the house that they know there's something in there that they don't know what it is. And so they call for help, and she goes in there, and she actually sees dead people. She sees things. She'll walk through walk into a bedroom, and she knows something happened. She'll see blood on the floor. She'll see, whatever, a body, or she'll see, somebody suffering, somebody who had lived in the house many years before, or in that area many years before. She actually has a physical presence of them at that time with her in the house. That, I think, is my idea of what retrocognition is. And I have to say, that is just freaky to me. I would freak. Like, she says things like, well, there's a man standing, he likes to stand beside the bed while you sleep, and he's really wanting to harm you, and I don't think I want anything to do with that, so I would stay far away from that, absolutely, if I had it. But I do say, one way that I might have retrocognition is I feel energies. I can walk into a house or into a room, and I've helped some friends with this, where I feel there's some kind of a negative energy or something stuck over in this one part of the room, and I help them get rid of it. I mean, I've done that quite a few times. That to me has more to do with feng shui and how energies gets trapped as they, the idea that you have to allow the energy to flow freely around you, or it turns into a negative space. That's the way I first approached it. Now, I've come to understand that maybe in a few instances I will say that there might have been something that had happened there that was not so pleasant, or for some reason there was a negativity stuck. And I can feel that right away. I can also feel when there's nothing. I feel when it's, and I really trust my intuition, or I trust my retrocognition, if that's what you want to call it, in that respect. Number 8, you feel older than your age reflects. And this refers to something that we're all very familiar with, the idea of somebody being an old soul. Well, for me, I might have said yes if I was not now old. What I mean by that is when I was young, and I think this is when it mostly happens, when I was young, I always felt much older than I am, right? Than I was. I felt maybe not really fitting in sometimes with the other children. I felt maybe a little more wiser, a little more like I knew more than they did. Maybe I was just a know-it-all kid, I don't know. But I did feel a little older. I felt older as different stages in my life than I really was. But when I get now that I'm older, I recognize that I really did not feel older as a child. Because I feel really younger now than a lot of my peers, people my age. I really think I'm much younger in so many ways than they are, and I know I feel younger. I know I do. Other than my physical, my physical body is 100 years old sometimes, but my inside, the part of me that is me, I do feel younger, maybe, than my years. So therefore, I would say I feel like I have been the same age forever. I, if that makes sense, I feel like I'm just of one age. My body is physically a different age, but my soul, my energy that is me, is the same, ageless, ageless. And I don't feel that will ever really change. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know a lot of things. I don't know why you're watching. Okay. Number 9, you have a great affinity for certain cultures, times, spheres, environments. Well, if you have seen any of my videos, you know I'm very much interested in medieval Europe, particularly medieval Scotland. This is my hobby. I spend a lot of hours, a lot of time, a lot of hours, energy, money in that hobby, researching. I've done a lot of research, and I have a lot of knowledge. So yes, I have a great affinity for that period of time. But the interesting thing is I did not always belong to this SCA, which is what it is. I remember 20 years ago, I was doing a craft fair, and I think it was probably an Irish fair, I don't know what, but all of a sudden, the Highland Games, it was Highland Game. They were coming through with bagpipes, and I remember running to find the bagpipes, and I felt so much nostalgia, it made me weep listening to the bagpipes. I have always had a great affinity for Scotland, for a great love for Scotland, a great love for things Scottish, a great love for bagpipes, for, kills, of course. Who doesn't? No, but I just have always felt that. And when I travel, I've done some traveling, and I've never felt more at home, really, than I felt in Scotland. And I sort of have an issue with place, which I will talk about later. So that's sort of interesting to me. And I want to remember to talk about that when I get to number 11. Number 10, unexplainable fears or phobias. Many people believe that there's some kind of trauma that we have in past lives that affects us in our present life that gives us, like, we have a fear. Like, we might be afraid of water because we might have drowned in a past life. Well, that could be true, except for me, if I was on the Titanic, I did not ever develop a fear of water from it because I am very drawn to the water. I am very comfortable around the water. I feel more relaxed around water than any other place, and particularly the ocean. I'm very, very happy now that I live that I can see the ocean in 10 minutes if I wish. And that's a comfort to me. To be in the ocean, I've been in sailboats with the waves are up to here. When you sit in a sailboat, you're down here and the water's up here and you can't see land anywhere, and I feel very comfortable there. So it did not manifest itself in that way to me. You might say, well, yeah, because you didn't die on the Titanic, I know I didn't die on the Titanic, but I also didn't swim away from the Titanic. I mean, that didn't happen either, so I'm not sure. I do have unexplainable fears, don't we all, or phobias. I'm afraid of spiders. I'm not afraid of them outside. I'm afraid of when they're in my house, I'm afraid of them because I know they're going to jump on me. They're going to jump down on me from the ceiling. My husband says that's so ridiculous, which it might be ridiculous to many people, but if you're under a spider and you're afraid they're going to jump on you, that's a real fear. But whether that has anything to do in past lives, I don't know. That doesn't seem to be that relevant to me. And it's the same with phobias. And as a matter of fact, I've been able to, I was very, very afraid of flying. But I want to tell you, first of all, I have a good reason to be afraid of flying. My husband worked in aerospace for 20 years, I would come home with horror stories going on at work, and I'd be like, oh, well, I'm not getting in a plane. So then when I got into a plane, I was like, you know, are you sure this is the right plane to be in? Not to mention, the whole idea of a plane in the air, flying. Is it just me, or does that sound like sort of like a crazy idea? I don't know. I still don't get it. But anyway, so I don't know that it has anything to do that I was in a plane crash in a previous life. I don't think so. And I've worked my way to desensitize myself from most of those things, because I know if you ever want to go anywhere in this world, like Scotland, you got to get on an airplane. You have to do it. So, okay. Number 11, you feel as though this earth is not your home. Well, I was so moved by Jude's response to this. I can't even say. She was very emotional about this, and I thought that was so wonderful. But I've never really understood. I don't feel that way about Earth. I have a strong need, though, to connect to place. I sometimes feel uneased where I am on the Earth if it's not my place. I don't know how to explain it. It took me years. It took me maybe 15 years to feel comfortable in California when I moved here, because it wasn't where I was. It wasn't my place. Now I feel very comfortable here. This is my place. But I don't think it has to do with the earth so much. To me, I think it has more to do with I don't feel like I belong with people. To me, it's more about the people. I have a hard time finding people that I belong with. And I think a lot of the listeners who are listening to me today share that in common with me, because that's why we reach out to the YouTube community, right? To be our community in a lot of ways. Because so maybe we feel that we have more in common with the people here than we might do in our own neighborhoods. I don't know. So anyway, those are the 11 things. I'm really grateful to Jude for bringing this to our attention. I don't know that my answers really helped much. I do say, even though I didn't identify with some of the answers, I really do understand how people feel about reincarnation, and I would have to say, even though it's hard for me to explain what I believe, whether it's one life or many, for me, having been in different places and different times, as we know time, I believe, yes, I've probably done that. But I still believe I'm one in one life. I'm having one life that's lasting through lifetimes, maybe, but it is still one life. So anyway, that's just my take on it. I'd love to hear your take on it, your responses, as always. Thank you for coming to my channel. I'm Rebecca, and I wish you blessings.